All right, excellent. So again, we're FastBank, so just a few slides to kind of give you the overview, a little bit about who we are. There's four of us kind of principals at the organization, two focused on the software and the SAP side from end user perspective and just identifying the gap in the space that's existed here to this point. And the other two of us, myself included, bring more of a little bit of a payments flavor and background to the organization. So between the four of us, we've got a number of different shared experiences and also different perspectives that we bring to the table, and that's kind of how FastBank has begun to evolve and grow in the channel. So with that, prior to the existence of FastBank, again, the idea of manual processes, having to download, CSV files and then manually, post transactions into SAP and reconciliation and all those things that are true pain points, especially when it comes to a manual process. That's been a challenge. So, it leads to lack of transparency, of course, and just reporting issues and just the time to go fix mistakes, because inevitably when you have a manual process, as we all know, we're all human, we do make mistakes. So the time lost, and of course, that's a direct correlation to an increase in cost of running the business. So the automation here that FastBank brings is going to solve a lot of these challenges. Again, a little bit about what it does. It's going to automate a live bank feed connection into FastBank, so bringing in the transactions, and then you'll have the ability to, from there, allocate to GLs, allocate to business partners, post them into SAP, and kind of go from there. So what we really want you to ultimately think of FastBank as is a centralized financial hub for transaction posting, reconciliation, and payments, both inbound and outbound. So there'll be some additional modules that Taran can touch on, but as you'll see, it's really going to become more of a centralized financial hub for these types of activities. So with that, a couple of additional benefits. We're connected to tens of thousands of banks around the world. So you mentioned already Bank of America and American Express with a credit card. We already know those exist in the system, so no need for us to look them up, but we'll be able to show you that in the demo. And again, we're seeing a lot of reduction in time and in really increase in efficiency gains, especially when it comes to the bank reconciliation piece, which Taran will touch on here just momentarily. So last but not least, well, I'd love to sit here and tell you, Carlos, that we can automate 100% of everything. It's not necessarily true, but I would say that you'll see a 70 to 80% increase in automation for these types of processes. So with that, before I turn it over to Taran for the star of the show, are there any questions or anything on what you've seen so far on the screen?
Nothing yet.
Okay, pretty straightforward. So with that, Taran, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you take it from here.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Nice to meet you, everybody. And you guys can see my screen, the FastBank transactions. Awesome. Yep. So what we are doing is very simple. We are connecting to a number of banks, and we can start downloading transaction. This is a live transaction, within, you could see this is an Amex card. Don't judge me. This is my personal card. My wife and I, we were in Cabo last week, so we could see a bunch of Uber transactions. So, and this is coming through the system. Now, we just connect, you can connect to multiple companies, right? You can see that, right now I have only one credit card. If you have multiple credit cards, multiple checking accounts, Bank of America, you can set that up. We'll also go and show you how we can set up banks. Once it's there, you just download transactions, sometimes you can say, hey, you know what, I don't have a check number on this. We can move these things, you can filter. All these things we can also hide. We do is just bring the description, amount, and if your financial institution is sending categories, right? Let's say this Amex card send you different categories, right? This is a, Uber transaction is taxi and travel, right? You could set up certain category rules, and then you could see this we can set up rules and category rules, as well as we have AI driven rules as well. So this is a category rule which I'll go into a little bit. What I'm going to show you is now, let's say the essence of what the FastBank does. Let's say I have to allocate this one or two transaction, and I can just go in and say this is travel, right? These are GL accounts. I can select multiple accounts if I want. Let's say I'm going to select miscellaneous. I don't have a taxi account in my SAP. I can allocate this into multiple accounts if I want. I can select cost centers, project codes, etc. And then let's say I have this, and I can just pick process. Now, if I go into SAP and open, this is just on account. It is posted immediately to SAP. Okay, and you could see this is posted as outgoing payment on account, because this is just a straight debit to your travel expense and credit to your bank or credit card. Does it make sense so far? Yeah.
Yep.
Well, let's see how we can allocate another transaction, right? This particular one, I'm going to pick a big one, and I'm going to go and say, hey, you know what? I wanted to allocate this to a Open AP invoice. Let's say you have Open AP invoice inside SAP and you use your credit card to pay. And this applies the same way if you use a checking account as well. And I can go and add a business partner. This is someone new, or can just go and select existing customer. So this, in this case, is a supplier because we made a payment. I could select multiple of them if I want, or I can just say, hey, you know what, my famous business partner, me associates, and then I can go and do on account. Let's say you don't know which invoice to apply to, or I can just go and say, let me apply this against this particular invoice. You know what I'm saying? Or if I want, I can split that into multiple invoices if the payment was for multiple invoices. So I'm going to apply this 4479 against this invoice, just a simple one. And if I now go into SAP, you could see that is immediately posted. And if I now go into my famous relationship map on the outgoing payment, this one, you could see that invoice for this 941 has been applied. Yeah, makes sense so far?
Yes.
So it's pretty straightforward and pretty easy. And I wanted to show you one more thing. Let's say I have all these transactions that are coming Uber, and I don't want to go post one by one. I could do two up to this. I can say anything in this category. I can go and set up a category one. But in this case, I like to set up Uber as a text match rule. You know what I'm saying? There might be Uber Eats or something. I can just go in here. I can add a text match rule. This time I'm going to say post it to a GL. Yeah. And it's an outgoing payment. Yeah. Next. And then I can select my account. Or if I can type it right, travel, airfare and mileage is my account. Yeah. Cost centers, if you want to split into multiple accounts, and then apply this rule, you could see now it's going to ask you, it's going to go through and apply this rule. You could see all my Uber accounts now have that particular GL account. And now all I need to do is, if I go and start typing Uber here, you could see all of those 31 transactions. I can go and peruse through it. Oh, the Uber Eats not some. Oh, I can go and select all of them. Yeah. And then process at one go. Oh, maybe I don't want to do this Uber Eats. You know what I'm saying? And I can process all these 31 transactions. I can go and search and and say, oh, I want to exclude this, right? Peruse through there. The rest of the stuff is good. I can process 29 transactions. Make sense? Does it?
Yep.
Any questions so far what we do? Yeah.
Nope.
All right. So if I now go back and do, you could do a bunch of filters. If I go here, all right, I'm going to unselect them. We can see these are text matching rules, and you could see if you have anything on, let's say, I'm going to look at an amount that was a payment, right? And I can go and apply that against a customer as well as, in this, oh, sorry, this is a payment. I shouldn't have used that. I don't know if I have any, let's see. Oh, this one is a payment. Yeah. I can go and apply against a customer. The same thing, the supplier, customer, open invoices, we can do in SAP, in FastBank. Yeah. Another thing that we can do also, let's say, for example, if you are using your SAP and let's go and do it by date, filter it, and let's say you made a transaction posting in SAP, you made an outgoing payment, and that comes through the bank. This may not be applicable on the credit card side. And I can also go and look at and assign that against an open payment, open document that was inside SAP. Let's say this Amazon 1076. You have made this payment or transaction in SAP, you can match. Why? Then it is going to allow you to do the automatic bank reconciliation, which I'm going to go to in a bit. Okay, makes sense so far. So that's kind of what we right now. I don't have anything posted, that's why it doesn't show. Yeah. Now I'm going to head it to the bank reconciliation. Before I do, I wanted to go into a checking account that we have. It's a credit card. Usually we don't do this. Let's go and select a, let's see if I can refresh that account. Right, so let's go and select this particular one. So what does it do? We have a bank reconciliation module, which allows you to, you have your normal stuff, right? The ending date, last statement date, right? Your, when, let's take a look at the last, June, the last one and the last balance. And then you could go and say, these are all that you could do the reconciliation. Yeah, from here. And I can go and select, these are all bank transactions. Yeah. You could do the same transactions from here. I think these are all processed transactions. Let me show you. If I go to maybe September, you could see there are a bunch of unprocessed transactions. You can go and post this into a GL, business partner. It's the same thing we saw straight from the screen. It will post to the SAP. You can search. You can also add import transactions. Sometimes you have Excel file, CSV file. I don't think because your banks are automatically connected. They have rare banks, some small community bank, we may not have that. So we have that option. And if there's any transactions on the bank side, maybe we can post it. Maybe there's a missing pay fee or something that didn't come through. Oh, sorry, I just swipe my thing. So what we do is, after this is gone, you could just go and say, these are all SAP transactions. If we have the transaction amount and the date or certain criteria match, it is already reconciled. You see that? So you don't have to go, and this is based on the date match. Yeah, the amount and the data matching. This is coming from the bank. This is SAP. You can review that if you want, right? And also, let's say I wanted to go and reconcile this 26,000. I need to go and look for that here, or I can go and search here, and I have something called possible matches. If there's a possible match, it will show you for that amount. You see what I'm saying? Right now, I don't have it. This might be a combination of multiple transactions. You need to go and say, hey, you know what? I did 430 for 630. I need to go and look at, the total, right? That's the only thing I can tell you. We use this internally. We have about 300 transactions a month. We only had about 2 transactions that I had to go and investigate. Everything is automatic, because if you use FastBank through the system, everything that you posted, it is automatic reconciled. Once you have your ending balance and your amount is matched, it allows you to post. If I go here, I can directly process that into, put the statement number, right? The usually you're using, and process. And I don't want to process this because I have another demo. And it will now post into SAP as well as into manual reconciliation. Makes sense? Okay. So you will be able to post this directly into SAP manual reconciliation. The amount of time you're saving is really big in here. Does it make sense so far, Carlos? Did that answer your question?
Do you have connections with Banco Popular of Puerto Rico?
Yeah, let's see if I am going to, let's see the bank accounts. Yeah, I'm going to go into my demo company. Let's see. We are using 2 of the largest aggregators in the world, Plaid and Yodlee. What's that bank?
The Banco, like in Spanish, BANCO. No, O, Popular. Yeah,
This one?
yeah, that one.
Enter your user ID. and the password. Yeah. And then all you do is yes, exit. And when you are setting it up, you need two things. Yes, you need to go and set up the GL account, in the SAP, and then the currency, of course,
Yeah.
and then start transaction posting date, right?
Okay.
When you want to start bringing the transaction, whatever the day you want it to do, go live, and that's it. And then it will start downloading transactions daily.
Okay. Daily. Okay.
Yeah, you could see that this is a live. It's yeah, you could see this is over the weekend transactions. I mean, it does not bring in the pending transactions. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
of course.
I'm not gonna say daily, meaning you might have a day, 1 day or 2 day lag, because some transaction may be coming in. We are working on releasing a feature that also allows, if you wish to bring in the pending transaction. When you have it on a credit card, you may have pending status. We have customer that requested they needed to see that. So make sense so far?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So we also wanted to show you what version of SAP are you on right now? Do you know, Maria? Or
10
on
I know
HANA?
it's 10. Yeah, on HANA.
HANA. Yeah, awesome.
But
All
the
right, then we don't
FB
need to worry
something,
about it.
I have to check.
Don't worry. If it is
Okay.
10 and 9.3 or something on HANA, anything that you have service layer, we can connect. And to connect companies is very straightforward. We don't need any add-on install. It's all through service layer. If I go here, just a company name, we get the URL, a database name, username, any SAP user, or even an indirect user, the database type, HANA or SQL version, and that's it.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions? I wanted to show you a couple of other these features as well. We do
I
have.
have one question, sorry,
Please,
regarding
please.
the infrastructure needed. They're hosted in Sky One.
You can see right here the demo.
Out of Sky, yeah.
So,
Out of Sky.
oh, you are too. Okay. So do you need an integration server or it goes
No.
directly?
No.
Okay, perfect. Good to know.
I mean, this is currently on Sky One. You can see all we need is, it's pretty straightforward. We just tell them to expose a service layer endpoint. You can just send an email to support or Marco. They know what to do. They'll turn it on in couple of hours, and then we get somebody to install, and you guys are in business, up and running.
Okay.
All right. So we do have a couple of other things that I wanted to, just since you guys are here, we can show you. I'm not going to go into detail. We do have OCR. Okay. I'm not sure you guys are familiar with it. OCR, optical character recognition. So what it does is, this is my dummy environment. We are making some changes. I don't know if I have everything, anything that we can show you. We can bring in the transactions. If your AP invoices come through email, we can go and bring them in and read it, and it will bring you all those things to automatically recognize. Okay. And so what it does is, let's say this particular invoice came in from a supplier. I wanted to open it up on a different tab. This came in, and you will send that into an email. This is another module, and then it will recognize the business partner, the amount, and you obviously need to go and validate it, right? It will recognize and read the rules and say, hey, you know what? It has also validation rules you can do. Say, for example, if a supplier send an invoice with the bank account number and the routing number is different, it will warn you. You can set that up inside SAP and say, hey, there is a warning saying, hey, this particular one. And then you can edit this, and you can also route this through an approval. Let's say, Carlos, you have an assistant, or you have somebody getting these things. They can route that through the department, and they can approve and directly post that AP invoice into SAP. And it also attach that into attachment, that particular document, right? So which is another module. We also do have the credit card processing. If you are using credit cards to make payments, to receive payments from your customers, as well as ACH, we could do that. Say, for example, let's say I have the customers, you can, these are all the open invoices, right? So I can just go and start a card. You can capture the card. You also can send a link saying, bring those transactions in, both ACH and credit card. And we are a processor as well. So you will have very good rate. Do you take credit cards from the customer? Okay.
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. And in how big is the volume, like roughly? Who do you currently?
Maybe we don't do many credit cards. Try to do like probably 5 transactions a month on credit cards.
All right. So you have that option, and then it is also going to. Who do you use right now?
Banco Popular.
Banco Popular. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The only thing we are having issues right now. We operate throughout the entire Caribbean. So there's some countries that cannot find US currency fast enough to make purchases. I don't know if you guys receive payments in different currencies and then convert them into US.
It depends, Carlos. I mean, we can set up merchant accounts in different currencies with our back end partner. So I guess it would just depend on which country it is, and that's a little bit more of
it's tricky.
It's a little more in depth kind of conversation for sure.
Right.
I mean, at a high level, we do have the ability to process in local currencies in a number of countries. I guess we just have to look at the individual ones and see,
Right.
So.
But then can they be converted and deposited into my account in US currency?
You see, that's
the
part of
tricky part.
The tricky part, exactly, because now you're into currency conversion with
Correct.
credit card and all that. So,
yeah,
if we get to a deeper level here on that, we would certainly explore it for sure.
Okay, because we're actively looking into that, because there's certain countries that we're not selling as much as we can just because of the currency.
Got it. If you wanted to send us a list of those countries where you're having some challenges, maybe, we could certainly do some legwork and find out, if it's even a possibility that we could set up like I said, a local currency merchant account on their side, and then, see what's involved with current, obviously converting that over into US dollars on your end. So.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. We also have NACHA files. So right now we can take, if you're doing a payment run in SAP, I'm sure you're doing ACH or checks, right? Do you do check runs in your company?
No, I normally don't do any checks.
Do you do ACH? How do you do that? Do you do ACH runs?
Yeah, we do ACH and we do wire transfers depending on the vendor. We either need to pay via wire transfer or via ACH, but we don't process as many. We pay probably like 2-3 suppliers a month, which is,
okay, great. Then
basically
don't worry
nothing.
about it.
Okay,
That's fine. Okay, if you have a lot, then we have a
ACH
automation NACHA file as well. Right. That's included.
And then every other supplier, they'll charge our accounts directly, so we just get hit with the bill.
Automated ACH. Yeah. Awesome. And I think that is where you could have these bank feeds. When they come in, you can also set up rules automatically. And the tricky part is if you have invoice numbers, because we also have, I don't think I have anything to show you here. Let's say invoice. There you go. So this particular one is an invoice match rule. What it did was, when you have an invoice number noted, I think it's because in the description it matches some sort of 802 right here, or a business partner name. It automatically suggests that you will post this against this open document in SAP. So, I mean, in credit card world, it's not, I don't have a scenario, but if you have a checking account, there are likelihood of this AI rule will pick up and suggest you, hey, this is a invoice, this particular supplier's invoice matches this particular amount, and would you want to process that? If you go and process it, it will process it against that particular invoice. So it is a quite a time saving tool. That's the way we see this.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any feedback?